Good morning. Welcome to Caffeinate Your Career. Today's topic: how to ace the phone screen. I'm your host, the career coach with the most, Jason Hopper. Flying solo today. Scott Butnick was supposed to be here, but something unexpectedly came up and he's not going to be able to make it. Scott is okay. I am live. I can see and hear me, so that's good. If y'all are watching live and you have any questions, put them in the chat. Um, I'll monitor the chat. And if you want to just say hey and want to shout out, just pop into the chat and let me know that you're watching. You don't have to have questions. You can just pop in there, start talking to people, network. Okay, so phone screens, guys. The phone screen is important. It is what is going to get you the actual interview. Um, Even though, and you guys are watching me live, you know, virtually. I think we live in a virtual world, but recruiters are still phone centric. So be ready for the call. Phone screens are going to last anywhere from 15 to maybe at best 30 minutes. They're going to be fairly fast. Um, that's important that you know that so that after the call you feel kind of okay about it. Like if it just lasts for 15, 20 minutes, don't think like it wasn't a good call. I will say this typically, though, at the end of the phone screen, they will tell you what the next step in the process will be. We'll go over that though here in a minute, but just so that you know, phone screen is going to be fairly quick. Okay. One thing I'm going to suggest that you do in preparing for a phone screen is check your email. Sounds kind of weird, doesn't it? Check your email. We're talking about phone screens, Jason. What do you mean? A lot of companies today will be emailing potential candidates with like their calendar or Calendly so that you could book time with them. I've used this tactic before when I was a recruiter, especially when we're doing a major ramp up where I am going to be interviewing several different people for the same position. For example, um, call center customer service people, um, or even I've been part of ramp ups as an on-site manager for up to 300 people. So and just to save time for me to start trying to call 300 people, I just send out emails. So you want to make sure that you are checking your email so that you don't miss any potential setup for interviews. I had this happen a couple of years ago. I had a client and he had gone on vacation. And he got back from vacation, and even though he was back from vacation, for some reason, still didn't check his email for like a week. Finally, got around to checking it, and a recruiter had sent an email like over a week ago, trying to set up time for him to come in and have a phone screen. Um, yep, you missed that opportunity. So check your emails, check them regularly. You should have like it should be on your phone, guys. You should have your email on your phone. Hopefully push notifications are on so that you know to go and look at those emails. Um, Make sure that you're prepared. I think like for phone screens or just interviews in general, where I see a lot of job hunters falter is they don't put in time and preparation for the interview. This is not the time to wing it. It really isn't. And again, the phone screen is going to be the thing that's going to get you to the actual interview, whether it is virtual or in person. This is the make or break moment. Or and Scott was here last week and said, part of the objective in the interview is to get to the next step. What will be the next step in the process? You have to stay alive to get to that next step and the next step and the next step. So treat the phone screen like a real interview because it is. When I say be prepared, make sure now I am old school with this. Um, And what I mean is make sure that you have something to write on and something to write with at all times. Now, when I say I'm old school, you'll be like, but Jason, I got a notes app in my phone. I could just, yes, you can. And yes, I know I've been like, playing a game of wordscapes and had a call. I just, flip it up and, take the call and bring the app back down. I understand the move. I can do the move, right? But also, too, you want to make sure that you're not distracted in those first couple few minutes. That's why I say I'm old school. You can just write down the person's name and the name of the company kind of fairly quickly. I can't tell you how frustrating it is as a recruiter for me to spend 20 minutes on the phone with you, and at the end of the call, you're like, okay, thanks, James. No, I said my name was Jason. We're not doing real good right now. So that's what I mean by old school. Um, you don't want to be distracted, especially in those first couple of few minutes of the call. Um, if you have advance notice, if they have emailed you or they called you previously, sometimes that will happen too. The recruiter will call, speak with you, and say, hey, listen, this is just a preliminary call for me to get you booked. Or sometimes it's not the recruiter, sometimes it's like the recruiting coordinator, like an admin or somebody calling to set up time to talk to the recruiter. Cool. But now you at least know the name of the company, who you're talking to. Like, do your research. If it's possible and you're able to do the research, go look up the company. Like, you applied there, probably. Yes, some recruiters will just be sourcing and see you on LinkedIn or Indeed and call. Yes, that does happen. But most likely it's someplace that you have applied previously. So make sure you take the time to go look up the company, figure out what their mission statement is. See, I would look them up on LinkedIn. I would look them up on Glassdoor. Do they have good reviews? Do they have bad reviews? Any reviews? Go look up on LinkedIn and see the people, right? On their like who works there? Are they posting content? Is the recruiter on there? Yes, probably. Like 97% of recruiters are on LinkedIn and sourcing people. So you could do a little bit of that research ahead of time. The other thing to remember too is make sure that you let the interviewer know that you've done your research. This can come up, and this will come up in a little bit when we talk about asking questions, but this could come up in the time when it's time for you to ask questions and let them know that you've done your research on the company. It is the thing that makes the difference. So make sure that you are as prepared as possible for the phone screen. Which leads me to my next bit. If you are not ready to take the call, if it's not a good time to take the call, for example, if you're at the grocery, probably not the best time to take that call, right? I mean, you got Phil Collins playing in the background, there's a kid running up and down the cereal aisle screaming, a lot of distractions. Recruiters know that. So if it's not the right time to take the call, just say, I'm so sorry. You caught me in the middle of shopping. Can I call you back in just a few minutes? That's okay. But seriously, shopping is done at that point. Like, go check out. Yes, I know we didn't get all the items on the grocery list, but it doesn't matter. Speed is important here. So go check out, get to the car, you know, well, we live in Texas, and right now it's like 100,000 degrees outside. So get to the car, get the air conditioner on, and call the recruiter back. This is the next point on this. And I know you guys, I know you're guilty of this one because I am too, right? You get that number, the number comes up, and you see the number, and you're like, yeah, I don't know that number. Ignore. And you let it roll over to voicemail. Yes, the recruiter will leave a message. And now, at this point, you've listened to their message and you're like, oh, and you're going to call the recruiter back, right? Great. Here's what you need to know. The recruiter, she's not just sitting around waiting for you to call. No, no, no. She's on to the next call, the next candidate. At which point, you have to now leave a message because they're on the phone with somebody else. Then they may or may not call you back. It depends on where they are in the process. And here's what I mean by that. Um, so, whether you are a third party recruiter or you're a corporate recruiter, the client, and in this case, a corporate would be the hiring manager in a specific department, right? Instead of the external client, but whomever the client may be, um, they're not going to want to see more than 5 resumes. They're just not. Like that's why the recruiter exists, is to weed out the people that have applied. So they're not going to want to see more than 5 resumes. So pretty much everybody is the same on paper. So it's my job as the recruiter to start calling people. And as soon as I get 5 people that go, oh my gosh, yes, Jason, that sounds like a great opportunity. Yes, send my resume to the hiring manager. I'm done. I move on to the next thing. So what that means is if you have to call the recruiter back and you have to leave a message, you may get a call back. You may not, depending on where they are in the process. If they already have 5 candidates that they're about to submit, you probably won't be getting a call back. People complain about being ghosted, and I get it. Like the recruiter just called, you couldn't get the phone, or it wasn't the right time, and now you have to get back to them. Okay, cool, but they may not get back to you because for the recruiter, you're only as important as the need. Let's not, or rather, let's not. Let's be clear. The recruiter doesn't work for you. The recruiter works for their client. Their client has the need. You're trying to fill the. They're trying to fill the need, and this is why staffing moves like so fast. Is because if a company is going to be working with one staffing agency, they're probably working with 2 or 3. So now, me as the recruiter, I have to get 5 candidates over to my client before the competition does. So just be aware. You may not be able to, if you miss the call, you may not get a call back. And I'm sorry, that sucks, but that is just the truth. That's just how this works. My suggestion is get yourself a Google phone number. And if you don't know how to do that, go Google how to get a Google phone number. And it will tell you this is a number that you can put on your resume. This is also a number that once it pops up on your phone, you know, oh, that's an employer calling. And you know right now, whatever you're doing, you better stop it and pick up the phone. That way, again, you're not going to know what the number is probably. It may not say, right? Because sometimes they just don't say what the number is. Again, you get a phone number and it's like, I don't know that number, and you just don't answer. This way, when that number pops up and you see it, it's employer calling. Stop everything you're doing and answer that phone. This will, of course, increase your chances of getting the phone screen, getting into the actual interview. All right. Um, when you answer the phone, please, please answer professionally. Don't answer the phone like, yeah. I'm not sure I really want to talk to you if it's, yeah. But how about, hello, this is Jason. How can I help you? That way they know they've reached the right person, kind of said it in a nice tone. So they kind of had a nice tone when they answered the phone, right? Um, Also, it's probably a good idea to have a really good, solid, and professional voicemail, like the outgoing. Like if you can't get the phone, like either have it on the default, which is the computer. I'm sorry, but I'm not able to take care of you, right? Or you record yourself sounding nice. Hi, this is Jason. Not able to get to the phone right now. Please leave a message and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks. It does make the difference. You know, I I remember. I'll tell you a quick. I remember I was working. Uh, I and I called. I was trying to find a candidate, and I called, and the person didn't answer the phone. But this was their outgoing voicemail message. It was, "Yeah, this is Cat Daddy. You know what to do." And I did not know what to do. I had a lot of questions in my head. Like, how many cats does he have? Do they have is there regular house cats, or do they have exotic cats like leopards and pumas and stuff? Does he dress up like a cat and drink milk from a saucer? Like I don't know. I had a lot of questions, and in my bewilderment, it went beep, and that was the end of that. And well, I didn't call Cat Daddy back. But make sure, guys, that your outgoing message is professional message. I see y'all like they're like 70 y'all watching live right now. Like I thought that story is a little bit more funny than that. Like I got no reaction. It's a tough crowd today. Okay, one thing I would suggest that you do is make sure that you practice. Right? Practicing is so essential. I just said a minute ago where I see a lot of people falter that are on the job hunt is they don't put in enough time to practice. By the way, it's probably a good plug for our mock interview program. We have a practice interview program, mock interviews, that we do the second and fourth week of each Tuesday from 1 and 2 o'clock. They are virtual, so you can participate anywhere in the world. Our next ones will be coming up this Tuesday. I do still have spots at 1 and 2, but they are probably going to go fast. So, first come, first serve. You want to practice interview? I have a whole team, guys. I got like 5 people on my team, all of them with extensive interviewing and hiring experience. And at the end of the practice interview, they will have a feedback form that you will get from me at the end of the week. So you will have something tangible in your hand to walk away with of things that you might want to improve on your interview. Um, so how it kind of works is I put you and the interviewer into a breakout room, and then they interview you for 30 minutes, and then there's 15 minutes of feedback. Then they send me the form, which you will get at the end of the week. I think it's pretty beneficial. I've had some people come through the program, interview a few times, and they have landed jobs. So if you want to do that, if you want to do a practice interview Tuesday, email me. My email is the letter J, Hopper, HOPPER, at jfsdallas.org. That's jhopper at jfsdallas.org. Put mock interview in the subject line and tell me what time you want to do it, 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock Central Time. Also, I'm going to need your resume as well. My guys need something to look at. All right. So that's the commercial for today. So practice. Make sure that you've got your star stories ready to go. Yes, for sure. Again, the phone screen is only going to be anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes. So they're not going to be asking a lot of questions that are going to be behavioral based, but they could ask one or two. So make sure that you are ready and prepared. Um, this way, you do sound practiced, you do sound confident. It's the reason that we do practice is so that we are confident when we get into interview situations. So make sure that you are practicing. One thing that I would probably do is I would get yourself set yourself up a Zoom just for you, hit record, and then practice answering typical interview questions. Um, I say that so I do suggest that you record it because you might see a couple different things, right? Are you sitting up straight? Are you talking a lot with your hands? Are you kind of slouched down? Like you will start to notice things um, that will make a difference that you can go back and tweak at a later date. So I think that practicing is for sure key. The more practice you get in, especially on a phone screen, to get you to the actual interview, the better off that you're going to be. I mentioned earlier about making sure that you have questions to ask. Um, Understand that probably the first call you're going to have is going to be with the recruiter. If it's a smaller company, you might be talking directly to the hiring manager, maybe, but most of the time you're going to be talking to the recruiter. So when they ask you, do you have any questions for me? Yes, you're always going to have questions, but don't ask the recruiter things like, what's the day to day like in this position? That's not, they don't know. That's not what the recruiter's job is. The recruiter's job is to talk with you to see if one, you're excited about the position. Two, do you have, does it sound like you know what you're talking about and can probably do the job? That's really all the recruiter knows. The recruiter could very well know why the position's open. Most likely they will. So you could always ask that question. You could always ask too, and I think this is a great idea, is ask like, what's the next step in this process? That way they know. Most of the time, though, provided you're doing well in the phone screen, most of the time the recruiter will say, okay, so that sounds great, Jason. I think you'd be a good candidate. I'd love to schedule time for you to come in here and meet with me and then perhaps the hiring manager. And then they will set a time for you to come in and or do a virtual interview, an actual interview, which will, last a lot longer. Um, but, make sure that you are kind of closing that gap. And it's also a good idea, too, I think, to ask them, like, when can I expect to hear back from you? Or even better, when would you like for me to follow up with you? Okay, couple things. If you're going to be the one following up, they're calling you. You have their phone number right now in your phone. I would make sure to save it. Even if it goes to the main line, you've got the person's name and you know that they're a recruiter. Even if you did not get all their full name, right? Like I at the initial call said, "Hey, this is Jason Hopper calling from Jewish Family Service, Greater Dallas." He's like, "Jason, JFS." Okay, he's the recruiter. You can go look that up later on LinkedIn, right? Find the recruiter that has that person's name, so you at least now know their full name. So when you go to follow up, and again, save it in your phone. That way, you can just go back and call them. Guys, by the way, this is something I did. Like when I was looking for work, and I was talking to, or a recruiter would call me. As soon as the call ended, I went to go save new contact, put the name of the person in there and the company that they work for. I've got, that way when I go and I'm going to go follow up, I know who I'm going to be following up with. So just quick, good idea. Um, Settings important. And we talked a minute ago, it's like don't take that call at the grocery store. Not really the best time. Um, there was one point when I was looking for work, and I had my routine, and one of the things that I did was I took my dogs to the dog park up here in North Dallas. I can't tell you how many times recruiters would call me, and I'm like, of course, again, pick up the phone, answer the phone. And I'm like, hey, can you hear all that barking? I'm at the dog park right now. Could I gather my dogs up and call you call you right back? Setting's important. I would take the call in a nice, quiet place. Make sure that it's a comfortable place. You want to make sure that wherever you're going to be taking the phone screen, that you're going to be free of distractions. Um, Places that also aren't good, like Starbucks, any like looking out the window, right? Like there's who knows what's going to be outside the window, right? Even if it's just outside your house, like there could be squirrels chasing each other outside or whatever. Like you want to make sure wherever you're going to be sitting is going to be in a nice and quiet environment. Um, Make sure that you have your resume, perhaps your skills, your top skills that are going to match that job description, and even the job description in front of you. This can also include questions that you might want to ask them. Remember, they can't see you, it's just on the phone, right? This is the phone screen. So if you know ahead of time, like who that's going to be, make sure that you've prepared your materials. Um, Here's something that I suggest: dress professionally. You're like, but Jason, you just said it's phone, they can't see me. No, they can't see you. But if you were dressed as if you were going out into the world to interview, mindset. You're in the right mindset. You're in the mindset that, oh, I'm having an interview today. Guys, make no mistake. Job search is a mindset game. And if you don't have the right mindset, it's just not going to work anyway. So I say dress professionally. You know you're about to have the call at 10 o'clock. Make sure that you are dressed, with a button-down shirt. Again, mindset's everything. It gets you ready. By the way, like this is like I do the same thing, right? Yes, it's super hot outside, but even on the like I work from home on Friday, but even like on days I work from home, I still am wearing jeans and a polo shirt because that's what I wear here in the office. I am wearing a t-shirt today. I'm wearing my JFS t-shirt today. So yes, I don't have on a polo shirt today, but most days that's how I dress, and I dress like that while I'm working at home. It puts me in the right mindset that even though I am at home, we are working. So, a couple of things for general phone etiquette. Um, don't smoke or vape while you're on the call. Don't eat. Don't chew gum. All these things are distracting while you are on the phone. I remember there was an I don't know if y'all ever watched the sitcom Seinfeld, but there was an episode of Seinfeld where George was talking to a potential girlfriend on the phone, and he was eating an apple because he thought it made him sound more casual. Don't eat, don't eat on the phone. It doesn't make you sound casual. It's not professional, right? Um, Smile. I have had countless number of phone screens, or even me today calling up a client on the phone because I do some clients I take phone calls, do phone calls. I can tell whether or not you're smiling. You can. We just can. As I've been doing this for many years, and I can tell if you're excited and or you're smiling. It just is a thing that kind of comes through in your voice, right? So please remember to smile, and also remember, like, check your tone, because if you're talking to me and you sound like this, if you're just kind of monotone, nobody's going to hire that person. People want to hire people that are excited to talk to and they want to work there. So check your tone. Make sure you sound excited while they're talking with you. It's funny. I was just doing that voice, and I was thinking of my son because he's going to be 13 this year, and his voice is starting to change. So every time he talks, he's talking down. It sounds like that's my son's voice. Make sure you're enunciating. Slow down your speech if necessary. I talk fast, guys. I know I talk fast. So when I do things like this or presentations, which, by the way, I'm doing a presentation later this evening, If you are local, especially if you're local and you live in Plano, I'm doing a presentation on LinkedIn optimization at the Workforce in Plano tonight from 5:30 to 6:30. They are located at 1101 Resource Drive, Plano, Texas 75074. Pop on in. It is important that you have a great LinkedIn profile, and we will be going over all of that this evening. So, and when my point being, I'm tying it back to that, like I have to I slow down when I talk when I do presentations because I do know I talk fast. So if you know that you're a fast talker, make sure you're slowing down so that the person who is probably taking some notes has time to write stuff down too. All right. Um, I don't see anything in the chat. Y'all are very quiet today. So hopefully that was helpful and you got some good tips on how to ace the phone screen. Um, so, fun question for the day. By the way, did y'all notice I had a new mug this month? Take a quick drink there. All right. Fun question for the day. Do you like your popcorn buttery and salty or sweet like caramel corn? Let me know in the chat. I like butter and salty, but that's just me. Okay, next week, Scott Budnick should be back next week, and we are going to be discussing qualities that recruiters look for in candidates. If you're kind of curious, like why somebody was chosen over you, we're going to talk about that next week. So come back for next week's Caffeinate Your Career. In the meantime, guys, have a great rest of the week. We'll see you next week for lunch. Bye.